All right. Hello, hello, everyone.
What's up, Jay? How are we
How's it
doing
going?
today?
Happy Wednesday. We are here. Happy March.
Excited to be here today, as always. Should be a good
Yes.
day, a lot of learning.
Let's go. March Marketing Madness.
Yes,
What's
sir.
up, everybody?
Good to see you,
Hello.
Mr. Camacho.
Aloha.
March. Aloha, everyone. Yes.
Got a lot of people checking in right now. I see Nick Mobley in the building, Raul Guzman. I see our guy Nathan Sobel, Gregory, Emily, Caesar. We see a lot of familiar faces in here, guys. If it is your first time, go ahead and use that chat button down there at the bottom. And if it isn't your first time, if you are coming back, you already know the drill. Go ahead and let us know what your name is, what your Instagram handle is, where we can find you and connect with you. And then if you don't mind just letting us know what market you're in. So if you're currently investing in Los Angeles, if you're out investing in Maui like Alex is, if you're over on the East Coast, go ahead and let everybody know in that chat what your name is, where you're coming from, and what market you are currently investing in, guys. We're excited to be joining you today. As Jay mentioned, we are doing the March Marketing Madness. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
So
And
we're
with that
talking
said,
all things marketing.
yes, with that said, you guys, feel free to connect with one another. I've met personally amazing people in webinars. So if you see someone in your area, don't hesitate to reach out to them. We are growing the tribe, so we have familiar people and love everyone. So don't hesitate to reach out.
And guys, we on that note, Jay is going to be posting for us in here a link to the Facebook group. If you guys did not get a chance to join the Facebook group yet, please do. And when you do log in, Jay is going to go ahead and post this link in here. And Alex posted a question in there, and Alex wants to know what you guys need help with. So if you need help with things, let us know in that group. Our vibe of the tribe is only as strong as the tribe. And if we don't know the answer, probably somebody in that group does. So if you can, go ahead and hit that link that Jay just posted. Make sure you let everybody know where you're at, where you're from, and what you need help with in the Facebook group. That way we can all get there and connect and help you guys out, all right?
Yeah, and on that note, Will, I've noticed that as a common trait from a lot of successful people that I've networked with, that I've befriended, that they're not afraid to ask for help. They're not afraid to ask for favors or for certain information, or also they're not afraid to share their ideas, obviously with like-minded people. But sometimes you just need that, right, to be able to kind of just throw it out there to your audience and say, hey, this is what I'm challenged with right now. This is my idea. This is what I'm working on. Because I also like to poke holes in people's business, plan. A lot of times we have this fancy business plan and we haven't even talked to anybody about it. And when there's somebody in our network that can help us, with some of that, or can say, hey, maybe you overlook this because we're so passionate about something, we overlook, certain holes in our strategy or something like that. So I found that to be also very important, why you need a network and talk to people about what you're working on and what your goals are.
Yes.
Yeah, and Alex, we mentioned this today. I mean, I asked you for a document and you were able to send it over and people love helping other people. So I couldn't agree with you more. When you network, when you link up with other people, when you ask for help, people are always going to be willing to help out. I mean, that's what we're here for today, guys, is help out, answer some questions, and make sure that everybody gets a little bit smarter and a little bit wiser on their real estate journeys. So,
and when you get that help, it's going to either help you take more action or start to take action, because now you have less excuses why you haven't started.
Correct. 1% every day, right, you guys?
So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to send out a link real quick here. It's a poll that we're going to ask you guys here to go ahead and respond on. We're talking about marketing today, and we want to know what kind of marketing methods everybody here in the room is currently using. So if you get a chance, go ahead and fill that out. It is multiple choice. So if you're doing text messages and direct mailers, if you're doing social media and PPC, we want to know what out of these you guys are currently doing. So that way we can kind of get you guys a little bit more help and make sure that we're kind of targeting some of this information to you guys. So I see a lot of people right now kind of responding in for cold calling and driving for dollars and text messaging. Again, those are some of the probably the more common ones that we find out here. And Alex, this will kind of bring us right into our first question for the day, which is, do you prefer cold calling or mailing, direct mailing, when you're kind of looking for fix and flips in the area?
Great question. So the short answer is that I prefer cold calling because you can talk to a lot more people. It ends up being where you're spending less money overall, typically, and also it's just you get a lot quick, just quicker results. And I think it's also trackable. And so is direct mail, but it can get expensive. So cold calling is my preference. But I do want to say this. I once read this book from Gary Keller, and it had this quote that I'll never forget about real estate, just having a real estate business. And that was that you need to have a business that's prospecting based and marketing enhanced. So let me explain that real quickly. Prospecting methods would be the proactive approach, right? The pursuing deals on MLS, the cold calling, the door knocking, those type of things that you have control to go take action and be proactive about. And then the marketing is more like the direct mail, the sending text messages, more reactive, but you really need to have both strategies or both funnels coming into your business to be successful, because we need that lead flow. We need a constant flow of leads as investors. And without lead flow, we get no deals. So you need both, you guys. And so I just wanted to stress that you need proactive approach, you need a reactive approach, marketing and prospecting.
Riley just commented down there in the chat, push and pull marketing. So, you want to be pushing your marketing out to people, but at the same time, you want to be able to pull them into you as well. So
absolutely
love that, Riley. Great analogy. So
Okay.
what I'd like to kind of ask you now, Alex, is how do you get better at this stuff? Like if you're looking to become a better marketer, what are your kind of go-to suggestions for that?
Well, I think you need to start studying marketing. Marketing is a skill set. Some people just say, oh, it's just, it is what it is. I could just outsource it. But it's a skill set that you need to start learning. And I started doing that a long time ago, but more in the last year and a half, 2 years, as I've launched my real estate investment company, because I noticed that all the best wholesalers were expert marketers. So I started really studying that, took some courses, a lot of YouTube University, but also you want to start branding yourself as to what you want to be known for, right? I heard it once put by one of my mentors, is like, you need to become like a buying entity. Somebody is known as an investor in your marketplace. And that doesn't happen in a week. That doesn't happen in a month. That takes years. So if you build a website, you brand yourself, you make a logo, you get all that kind of going, people start to know what you are and what you do. So make sure that you're starting to build your real estate resume, because that track record is what helps people trust you and want to work with you.
Correct.
And Alex, I think a lot of people with your track record. I think you're coming up on 10,000 Instagram followers, probably about 50 away at this point. So guys, please make sure you take an awesome picture. Make sure you guys are posting. Let's get this guy, Mr. Camacho, up to 10,000 followers. Let's make this happen. Again, Alex, I think branding yourself, you couldn't have said it better right there. You want people to know that you're actively purchasing and doing real estate investing. And I think you've done a killer job of doing that. So can't wait to get you up there to 10K, man.
Thank you, man. And I want to add one more thing, guys. And then it starts to compound over time. And then you start getting those random phone calls from people you interacted with a year ago. And then those are like, just icing on the cake, or just whatever they say. But it's
cherry on top, icing on cake.
Icing on the cake. But you really start to see that after a year, 2 years in the business, people start calling you out of nowhere, and you're like, hey man, I love those calls, because I didn't have to do anything additionally to go solicit that opportunity. I just had to do what I was already doing, which is full-time real estate investing. And then those leads compound and you get some of those later on down the road.
Yes. And with that, you guys, real estate is marketing. So what Alex said is branding yourself. Social media is such a huge thing nowadays, especially as an entrepreneur. You are your business, you represent yourself. So definitely consider yourself as a price tag and what you bring to the table. And, that's why we do these webinars, to network and market. It's very important for real estate. So moving forward, with marketing, what would you have told yourself if you were doing this 10 years ago in your early years to better market yourself?
Yeah, great question. What first comes to mind is the numbers, being able to track. You hear this term a lot called KPIs, which stand for key performance indicators. And I'm not a numbers person, but if I'm going to spend thousands of dollars, I want to know where that is going and if that's a good use of my money. So I think I didn't do a good job of that at the beginning, or I just didn't see how important it was. So I started to like really start to understand that, track the numbers, understand how much you're paying per lead. Is that going up? Is that going down? Are the leads getting better? So just really knowing your numbers, tracking them, and then just having a good team to convert. That could be your marketing team, that could be your sales team, but you could market really well and then get a bunch of great leads, and then you have bad closers. You have people that can't get the deal closed. So, I mean, what good is spending all that money if you don't have someone to help you convert and have a high conversion ratio? Because if you have great salespeople, you almost have to do less marketing, or you get better results on that marketing because of the conversion of your great salespeople. That's one of the reasons I align myself with Will, because he's a fantastic closer. He gives me a run for my money. And I say that with utmost respect, because I think I'm a pretty great closer, and I think he could, he's better than me, which is, I think it says a lot. So you need to surround yourself by these A-player closers, because if you're marketing well, you will get the leads. So you need to have a closing team.
Couldn't have said it better, Alex, and appreciate the compliment. Again, when you think about it, if you have all these leads and you don't have a way to convert them, then really you're right back to step zero at the beginning. So you do want to make sure that when you are planning these things out, you have that cold-blooded closer on the end there to make sure that you get that lead to the conversion. So talking about leads, Alex, when do you pull the plug on one of these? Like, when do you just realize like, hey, this did not work for me. It's time to cut this marketing method and switch to something else?
Yeah, I love that question too, because there's a balance between like giving it enough time. I think Alex Ibarra made that point with us when we were talking, prepping for this meeting, of you got to give it enough time for it to potentially work, but not where you're just like stubborn because you've already sunk some money into it and you want to keep dumping into it because you've already invested. So you have more interest in that, invested interest in that strategy. So I would say I found it's about 2 to 3 months marketing one method to really get a gauge of the numbers. Is it working? Is it not working? How well is it working? Do we need, make any adjustments? And then it goes back to making sure that you're tracking those numbers and looking at them on a monthly basis. Every month we look at our marketing at about the middle of the month to plan for the next month, but also see, what's happening with the current month. And then, so we discuss that. And that way we're not married to any one strategy or any one vendor too. I want to make that point because at the beginning, I remember being stuck to like one vendor for text messaging or one vendor for like direct mail. Well, all of them provide something a little different. And so don't be afraid to keep that strategy, but switch vendors or test other vendors, because that way you might see they have a better user interface. They have better customer service. When I market this much, I get a better discount. So you just really need a bit of a shop around for other vendors as well on this marketing, find the best fit for you. Because sometimes, like with good contractors, they fall off. They something else, they get another bigger client than you, or something else happens, and then you don't get the same level of service, you don't get the same quality of leads, and then you got to pivot. And sometimes that's hard to do because you've already been working with that company for months. So I found that to also be the case, that you got to be able to switch vendors or test and not be married to any one.
Yes, I could not agree more. And, with that said, we're always with technology, real estate, the market's always ever evolving. So if you've been using an old vendor for 5-10 years, you might want to change into something new. Like the new deal machine is hot right now and everyone's using it. So also with that said, sometimes, you do get stuck in old ruts. How do I stop procrastination? And then how do I also stay committed?
Yeah, so I recently read this book that gave a whole new light. I really want to share that book. It's called Who, Not How. And it's a recent book. And what it says there about procrastination, because we all suffer from procrastination. Will, Jay, me, everybody on this call is procrastinating right now on something. Yes or no? And so it's a universal trait. We all do it. But the reason that we're procrastinating is because that is wisdom, it says the book, that is teaching you, is telling you what you should not be working on and what maybe you should be delegating, hiring somebody that would love to be doing that in your life. Like, for example, Jay loves the project management of the deal. I do not like that at all. I do not want to be picking paint colors. I do not want to be picking fixtures. Once the deal is already bought, I don't even care anymore. I don't even want to be involved. But she loves that side, and she's working on that side for us, and she's thankful, just like I'm thankful that I'm not doing that. And I was doing that last year. So that's a big thing. Maybe that you're procrastinating that because you need to have someone on your team doing that. And then also, there's some days I don't want to do work. There's some days that I don't want to do some certain meetings, but I have a greater why. I want to become financially free through this real estate investing business, and I'm not going to be able to do that by sitting on my ass. So I have a big why. And then if I also want to help my parents retire, and so they don't have to work anymore and be able to take care of them more. So those are very strong whys for me. So when I don't want to do certain work, I remember those whys and my commitment to those whys. And then it helps me kind of push through those hard days, because there are a lot of hard days. Just because I live in Hawaii, you guys, does not mean that I don't have tough days. Okay, it just makes it harder to be mad for a long time because it's so beautiful outside. But I still have a lot of problems that I have to solve.
I hear that.
Prove it.
Right?
Prove it.
So just make sure that you have a strong why, not just like, hey, I want to make more money. Okay, we all want to make more money, you guys. But why do you want to make more money? Okay, I want to help my parents. Help my parents do what? I want to help them retire. Okay, how much is that going to take? Okay, now you're kind of really going deep into your why. So I think those are big pieces of it.
Yeah, it made me think of one of the quotes I posted on my Instagram. You know, it's like, once you have your why, you'll have no excuses between you and your goals. You know, you don't need the motivation, just why you're doing this. And, you know, like Alex said, I can relate for my family and taking care of them as well in the future when they get older. So, you know, it's just, for me, it's like no doubts, just straight determination. So that's awesome.
So I know we want to talk a little bit about VAs, and you know, a lot of times people think that a VA is a good time to say, hey, this is somebody else that can do that. But Alex, let's talk a little bit about managing a VA and how that kind of goes about. And I know we have some experience in that recently, just because, you know, we've kind of transitioned from our old VA that was working with us for a little while into a newer VA. And, you know, the one thing I'll mention on that, Alex, is when you do look for a VA, you definitely want to cast a wide net. So for us in particular, we ran a couple of different interviews. We were posting, you know, Alex always posts and lets people know, hey, I'm looking for help. I'm looking for help. I'm looking for help. I'm looking to help people. And so make sure that you cast that wide net. And then the other thing I want to point out on the VA is make sure that you know all of the processes that you are passing to that VA before you do that. So like Alex said, you know, he did all of this stuff last year. Now he is passing that to somebody else because he knows his time can be better used for something else. And somebody else is going to really enjoy doing that part of it. Like Jay really enjoys picking out those colors and really enjoys making sure that that house looks absolutely amazing. Where, you know, for people like you and I, Alex, like I get the high from getting the deal. That's where I get the excitement. And once I get that deal, it's like, hey, where's the next deal? Where's the next one? Like somebody's going to make this deal look really good, but I'm going to go ahead and find that next one. So that's really important. And then I think the other big one, you know, as we kind of have our new VA getting on the phone calls for us, is again, just making sure that you understand that script and understand what their end goal is. So for example, if your goal with your VA is to make phone calls, then make them have phone calls. But if your goal is to set appointments, that's going to be your KPI. Alex mentioned the key performance indicators, and you really want to know what the goal is of that caller, the cold caller, before you jump into there, so that you know, I want them to set appointments for me. That way, when I get a call, I go to an appointment and I see a property. Do you want them to make offers for you? Do you want them to, you know, just do a limited amount of phone calls and get you to the next phone call? You know, make sure that you understand that process before you get into it. So, Alex, anything you got to say on VAs?
Yeah, so let me add a couple things, because I've made mistakes, you guys, on VAs, and I've had some rock stars as well. So I have some things to share on that. As far as the mistakes, I would say I am not a micromanager. I'm not going to be watching over you and constantly following up on you. That's not my personality. I want people that are on my team that are, you know, self-driven, that take initiative. So I had some VAs that just didn't do that, and so since I'm only paying them $5 an hour. Or in this occasion, it was only $5 an hour. It's like, okay, I'm paying him for 8 hours, that's $40. And if he messes around for like 2 hours, that's only costing me $10. But what I neglected to see is that compounds over time, and that they just need a little bit more guidance that I'm willing to do. So, because I look at it from the perspective like, hey, if I spend an hour training with this guy, I'm paying them $5 an hour, but my hour is worth $200 to $300 at least. So it's like, I just gave this guy, like, that's the whole point of me having a virtual assistant. But I neglected that. Like, you really need to do a lot of ongoing training. You got to treat them like a normal teammate. Just because they're in another country doesn't mean you should talk down to them or be condescending or be very dismissive or just be mean, because they're normal people. And I like to find out their personal and professional goals now, because I've noticed a lot of turnover in virtual assistants. And why is that? Is because they don't feel like normal teammates. And just because their goals are different than ours, like as far as maybe them wanting to do something different, in the future, if you know their goals, you can help motivate them a little bit by reminding them of their goals, like a normal teammate. So I also have found that to be successful as well. And then let me think about, I know there's some more. Just that accountability is so important. And then, oh yeah, one last thing, understanding that there's a difference between like a general assistant that just can do multiple things, and then ones that are very specific for very specific tasks. Like, for example, we like females for the cold callers because they tend to get a little bit better results. They tend to be more trustworthy over the phone. So we prefer that. We'll still hire a male cold caller, but for that role, we prefer that. And we also prefer someone with excellent English, because when there's like that accent, it just sets off triggers in the prospect's minds that this is like, a telemarketer from a call center in another country. So anyways, I think those are the kind of the top things that I would recommend you guys kind of work on or think as far as virtual assistants.
Yeah, and Jay and I, specifically, same thing to you're saying, Alex, we have certain tasks that we know we're not good at. And so knowing that your VA is good at those tasks is important. If you get a VA that's really good on the phone, they might not be that good at digital technology. They might not be a good editor. They might not be good with Excel. So you might want to just make sure that you kind of focus those groups on what that direct task is that you're looking for them to get done.
Correct. Yes, definitely find their strengths in that. And, also I'd have to say also have a set schedule of daily or weekly tasks, things to get done, so you can have a focus, especially it is remote. So having that daily check-in, drawn out we personally have a task matrix. So our VA knows exactly what they need to do on a daily basis, our goals on a weekly basis. So there's no miscommunication as to what the job basically is. It's basically like just written out. So that also I would recommend, if you're a new beginner and trying to hire someone, have that written out.
And guys, I'm just going to share the screen real quick for you guys on that note, just so you can see this. This is our VA task matrix right here. And literally, like Jay said, it kind of puts in here exactly what we need done on Monday. Exactly what we need done on Tuesday. We have our webinar on Wednesday every week, and we need you to be there on Wednesday. So this just kind of gives us a day by day, week by week guidepost, so that we know, hey, these certain things are going to be done at this certain time. And if they're not, then that's when I know that I can check in and I can reach out and say, hey, is everything going well on your end? I noticed you missed a couple of these points. So, again, make sure that you know what it is that you're looking for them to do, and you know when and how they're going about doing it.
And also, like what Alex said, that's what I love about Alex and working with him. He's such an amazing person. I'm sure everyone in this chat can say he doesn't treat, like the VAs bad, and just also being humble and generous, talking. If someone needs help with something, we're all here to learn still. I try to learn something new every day. So just because, they don't know something doesn't mean they can learn that skill and help each other to become better. So.
And guys, I'll try and share a copy of the VA matrix that we have on the Facebook group. I'll share a screenshot of that on there, just so you guys can get an idea. Again, your business is going to look different than our business, but just know that you can decide how many hours you need help from a VA, whether they're more centralized office task related, or whether they're more phone call related. On that same Excel spreadsheet, you can click over into a different sheet, and you can see our other VAs, and our other VAs have different tasks and different matrices for what they need to do and when they need to get it done. So without
add one more thing, which is the time difference, you guys. If you're getting virtual assistants from like the Philippines, there could be a significant time difference. Also, if you're doing it from Mexico, it could be different. So just keep that in mind, because they're willing to work around that. But like, do you really want someone working at 12 o'clock at night? Is that going to be the best of their time? And so I think that's also something you should consider, because when you're working certain hours, and then the other VA, because sometimes the VA has tasks that we don't care when they get them done, as long as they get them done by this certain time. And then there's other tasks, like for example, they're very time sensitive, that they need to get done at a certain time. So make sure that you understand that and manage that properly too.
Couldn't have said it better, Alex. And I know we just got our cold caller VA hired. Just out of curiosity, how many cold calls do you think it would take to equal one lead here in our market?
Yeah, it's a great question, because it does vary based on the skill of the caller and how often they're calling. But let's assume that they're calling every day. When I was calling every day for 6-7 hours for a year, when I first started this business, 11 months, but it's almost a year, I would call between 300 to 500 people on the dialer a day. And then every day my goal was to get 1 to 2 good leads, decent leads. And I mean, I called that person. It was the person I was looking for. They did have genuine interest in reviewing an offer. And then their number wasn't like retail or some crazy highball number. And so I would say, and then I would get 1 lead a day. And then about every 10 leads, I would get an appointment. And then every appointment, I would get like 50% closing ratio for a contract. So that to me ends up being about 20 really good leads. And then, I mean, that could take 2 weeks, that could take a month, that could take a month and a half, that could take maybe 2 weeks at the best. So it just depends. Like, that's why you might need to have multiple callers, or understand it might take you 2 months cold calling to get a good enough lead to turn into a deal. So don't go, that's why I just said earlier, you need to be focusing at least 2 to 3 months per strategy to make sure it's working, not give up too soon, but also not continue down that path if it's not working either. Yeah.
Like you said, you might get the lead in 2 weeks, but you might get it in 2 months. So if you quit at, right before 2 months, you're going to put in all that effort, and that one good lead that you were working hard for, you're going to miss out on. So,
and what if it takes 3 months, but then you make $40,000 on that deal? That was like if you were making $12,000, $14,000 a month. But if you don't get, yeah.
Actually makes me think of this quote. I can't remember exactly what temperature water boils at, but it's sometimes, water boils at 100 and something degrees. And if you're just 1 degree away, that's all it takes to get that water to boil. So sometimes, just keep going and then you can get there, but don't give up and just persevere. It's the name of the game with real estate. All right. So with that said, other marketing methods. So what marketing methods, Alex, do you think work well for you, or do you think are working the best right now?
Well, for us, it's been recently, it's been just networking with real estate agents. And when I say networking, I mean, we're trying to add some value. We're, taking to lunch. We're finding out what areas they're most dominant in. We're asking those questions about where they're at with their business, if there's any way we can help them with their business. We're really coming from a place of, hey, we have complementary businesses. You're a real estate agent. I'm a real estate investor. How can we help each other grow our businesses and get better at what we're doing? That's the framework we're coming from now. Like, hey, you got a deal? You got a deal? What about now? What about now? No, it's like, it's a relationship. And shout out to Will and Jay on this, because they've done such a great job of that's how we got our last 2 deals, in a sense. I mean, they were MLS, but the other one we got before it hit the MLS, so that was a pocket listing. That was all relationship. So there's that. And then there's social media has been working well for us because of again, that compound interest. Maybe you are not going to get as many leads as us because we're active. We have 4 active flips that we're working on. We have maybe more content, more traction, but this also took us some time to develop. So again, thinking that long term, I had this question in my mind earlier, which is, how would your actions, how would your behaviors, how would your emotions be different if your goal that you're trying to accomplish was going to take 5 years, 10 years? If you're looking at it from that lens, you're not going to get as upset for not getting a deal in 2 weeks. You're going to be a little bit more motivated after the second month, because it's going to take 5 years, compared to like everybody wants to be successful in like months, in weeks, in a year. Like, I mean, there's a reason people go to college for 4 years and they're not trying to graduate in 1 year. It's like, college might not be the best example, but you guys would get what I'm trying to say. So I'd say social media, networking, and for us, we love cold calling because I'm good at it. I know how to train really well on it. I've had a lot of experience with it. It still works. So those are kind of our top 3.
Yeah, and I think the cold calling really works because Alex is such a personable, genuine, nice person. So people that want to sell their houses to people, I listened to a podcast recently that they wanted to sell it to another person who wasn't able to do the escrow closing in over 30 days, but they just liked that person. And, you know, like Alex just said, we got the last 2 listings and closed because we had built that relationship with people. So just know that being authentic with who you are. Sometimes I see people trying to be something, but you see us, we're very transparent. So I think that goes a very long way, especially for people that wanting to be in the business for a long time. So yeah.
So Alex, we have a great question from our guy Ulysses coming in here on the Q&A feature down here on the bottom. Love this question. So I did want to kind of get it up here to you. It's, if you're just starting out and you're testing different methods, should you just focus on one strategy? And I think you've mentioned this before, you know, 1 or 2 strategies is typically it, right? You want to really, really master that strategy before you start taking on another one. Like you mastered your cold calling, and then you said, hey, now I'm ready to start, you know, now I can go to this next one. Now I can add this other one, but you wanted to master that first one first.
Yeah, so I would say master the cold calling. That's a great idea to start with one, but then you also should be trying to master something complementary, like comping out properties, right? Analyzing, because that's gonna, you know, so I would say it's definitely advisable to do one, but you know, you have those other skill sets alongside that you should be developing alongside that if you don't have like 2 strategies that you're working with. But yeah, absolutely, because you can get really good at something, focusing and going all in on that one strategy, much better than just trying to do too many things at once, especially at the beginning.
And again, just another great question coming in from our guy Colin. He's wondering, when do you know it's time to hire an employee or an assistant? Like Alex, you've been crushing it. When did you first decide, like, hey, I need to add somebody else onto this team. I need help.
Immediately when I launched my company, because I was going to build a company. I wasn't going to just flip houses and make money. So my path might be different than yours, but I think, well, once you are profitable, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of like just going out and hiring someone right away. I think you need to have some type of proof of concept that maybe you got a deal under contract that's projected to close, just to have some amount of traction. But I always knew that I don't like the administrative part of what we do. I know it's important and I do work on it when needed, but it is an area that drains my energy. And I pay close attention to those type of activities that really drain my energy, because it takes away from all the stuff I do great. So I've always been a fan, or at least the last 10, 15 years, of focusing on your strengths. And that's hard to do when you're having to do half of your days tasks that you're not really that good at. And then you just end up like not getting the best results. So going back to that book, you got to ask more of who, not how. We're trained to think about how do we do this rather than who can do this for me and would enjoy doing this and be grateful for me giving them this. That's how we need to switch our mindset. So yeah.
Love that, Alex. So what we're going to do now is guys, we're going to actually dive in a little bit into Alex's, you know, our kind of our cash offer options marketing plan that we kind of do here.
Hey guys, I want to introduce someone. I don't know if you guys know Brittany Arneson. She's Investor Girl Brit on Instagram. So everybody say hi to her. She's the queen of do-it-yourself, but now she's transitioning to just doing remote commercial investing.
Yeah, pretty much. Got it.
That's amazing.
You say who, not how. I'm like, that is the best. If you haven't read that book, dude, so.
You heard it here first. Alex said to read it, and Britt.
Nice. Yeah, I heard you're moving to Maui. That's amazing.
Oh, it's so great.
Awesome. Can't wait. We'll be there next week, you guys. Less than 1 week.
Looks like you're very popular in the chat right now, Britt. So everybody's saying how much they appreciate you stopping by and saying hello.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome. Well, hi, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah.
She want to get away from the cold. People are commenting. Okay, all right, back on track, guys.
So guys, that was awesome. Everybody's saying such a huge fan and how awesome a power girl, girl power. I see everybody in here just commenting, and like Alex said, what an absolute legend in terms of doing it yourself. And I think she's a great example of, like, you know, hey, she just figured out, I don't really want to do this stuff myself anymore. I can maybe hire somebody else to do this, and I can take a stab at a different kind of investment strategy. And so, you know, again, just kudos to her for getting as far as she did, and now saying, hey, it's time for me to hire that first employee and pass my job back to somebody else. Kind of similar to what Alex did. He kind of beat Britt to it, I guess, a couple months early. He said, hey, you know what, I'm going to move out of my town. I'm going to pass the keys to this to somebody else, and I'm going to make the Maui move. So what I'd love to do now, guys, is bring on one of our other team members, our guy, Alex, number 2, Mr. Alex Ibarra. And we're going to go ahead and break down a little bit of our cash offer options, Alex Camacho, our kind of marketing plan that we do here on our side of the project. So Alex, let's kind of dive in a little bit and talk a little bit about social media first. So how does cash offer options social media plan go?
Is that me or Ibarra? You're doing me, right?
That's on you, sir.
Okay, cool. Well, the social media, as you guys know, has been really important for us because it's one of those strategies that just requires constant posting consistency. And since we have multiple transactions, we have the experience. It's a little bit easier for us to post regularly. I think I need to do a little bit of a better job though of marketing and social media for the company, frankly, though, because so much is just about, my lifestyle and then kind of the team here, but not as much as we'd like on the social media. But number one thing is consistency. And then also I'm a big fan and currently under Ryan Pineda's coaching program. So he has a social media marketing course. I highly recommend it. If you guys want a discount on it, let me know. I have a link, an affiliate link I can provide you guys. It's a great course if you want to get your social media kind of going this year. Let me see here.
I inserted.
Yeah, and Jay put the link in there right now, just in case anybody does need to go take a look at any of his coaching platforms. Again, Alex is very well versed in the Ryan Pineda coaching program. We've done both his social media and his flipping one, and you can really learn a lot from those guys. So let's dive into a little bit of driving for dollars here next. But before we do that, I just want to kind of comment on Jay and myself, who are also just kind of starting off with our Instagrams and with our social media posts. And you cued on it earlier, Alex, but that second deal that we got came from Instagram. I saw a real estate agent posting homes out in Antelope Valley. I connected. I said, hey, I want to come see your property that you just listed. And it wasn't the property that I wanted, but it was the connection that I wanted. And making that connection is what allowed her to say, hey, Will is actively on social media. She followed me back, saw that I was actively taking down deals and actively taking, progress and action. And she hit me up and said, hey, Will, a couple weeks later, I've got this other deal that's right up your alley. And, if it wasn't for social media and if it wasn't for being active on social media, that probably wouldn't happen.
And you were very specific on the type of property that you're looking for, right? So
Yep.
we talk about this. So you can tell people, this is what I'm looking for. I see that a mistake with a lot of investors. Yeah, I'm open to a burr. I'm open to a flip. I'm open to doing this deal. And it's just like, they're all over the place. Like, okay, well, what kind of deal do you want? Like, I mean, you got to be more specific. So I think that's really important. Am I introducing Alex Ibarra, or what were we doing next?
Yeah, let's bring Alex on and talk a little bit of Deal Machine and Alex Ibarra number 2, Alex 2
Everybody.
here, Alex squared. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Alex Ibarra, Alex, and let us know kind of what he's been doing in terms of marketing for you guys out there in Hawaii.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I brought on Alex recently because I moved to Hawaii on island of Maui in November. And right around that time, my Bigger Pockets episode debuted, and he reached out to me. I guess he found me through the episode, right? And then, we connected in person here on Maui, had a good interaction, but then I got really busy with everything I'm working on in LA, but he just stayed on me. He kept bugging me in a good way. He kept following up with me. And then he got me, this is how he got me. He's like, do you want to go spear fishing? And he sent me a picture of him catching like these 2 or 3 huge fish. And I was like, I've never gone spear fishing. So I'm like, this guy got my attention. So, we ended up going spear fishing. He actually took me, investor Gil Britt, and Matt Onofrio, this other huge investor, which was super fun. And then from there, he just convinced me because I told him, hey, this first quarter, I want to focus on everything in LA because my team needs it. I just need to make sure that everything is going well. They need my training. I need to be over there. But he just kept on bugging me. And I was like, okay, I'm going to LA for 2 weeks. If you can get 500 houses here on Maui in driving for dollars, I'm going to start launching the marketing and start trying to do deals a little bit early because you're taking the action. And he went and did that. He took action. He found me. He followed up with me. So this is what you guys need to learn here, guys. Social media is powerful, but also following up, adding some value, and then just staying on top of people. Because if you really want something, you got to be that squeaky wheel. I mean, I get so many DMs, I get so many phone calls. I'm grateful for all of them. Don't get me wrong, but I can't get back to every single one all the time. So sometimes they get lost, like your email inbox, it just goes down to the bottom. So you got to keep bugging those people that you want answers from, but not in a like kind of pestering way, more of like, hey, I'm still here. Just a reminder, like I'm still here. I still want to, talk to you. I still want to, what can I do to add value and staying in front of people. So Alex did that. Now he's out here actively. We got like 700-800 houses and driving for dollars. He's working on doing the direct mail through Deal Machine and other ways. He's cold calling every day. He's taking massive action to get flip for us here. So I'd like to welcome Alex to the webinar here because he's putting massive work and I love his name. What's up, Alex?
Hey, Alex, thanks for that intro. I'm out here in Maui. Was super excited to connect with Alex C over here. He left Maui and I had the chance to just go all out and get some addresses. And so we got 500 in a couple of weeks. We got 500 addresses that we were able to market to. And so as far as driving for dollars, I'm a big fan. It's mainly what I've been doing for the last little bit. I have tried some other strategies in the past, but here on Maui, that's what we've been working is driving for dollars. So for, most of us probably know, but just a little bit of a background, driving for dollars. You get in your car, you go through neighborhoods, you look for properties that are in distress. You're looking for exterior signs of interior situations. So interior meaning personal, the situations of the people that own the home. So sometimes that will be the home itself is just in such distress, it's falling down. The homeowner does not have the money to fix it up. That's a distress situation. But sometimes you're just looking for signs of a different situation. Sometimes it's just a distressed yard, overgrown. Maybe there's a old vehicle sitting in the front lawn, whatever, where maybe it's not so much they can't make those repairs, but it's more of, hey, it's an elderly person, or maybe someone's going through a divorce or some type of situation where taking care of the yard is the last thing on their mind because they have this other distress situation that they're taking care of. So that's kind of what you're looking for when you're out driving for dollars. At this point, I drove pretty quickly, drove every road in my town here on Maui, looking for distressed property. So I know every single one in my town. It comes up on on the MLS. I've already seen it.
So quick question for you, Alex.
Let me add something right there real quick before you hold that thought, Will. And that's what's impressed me too about Alex. He'll be like, hey, I'll forward him a property that I get emailed to me about here in Maui. He's like, did I miss that? Let me look. And he's just like, no, I know that one. He just like breaks down the house and he's just like, yeah, it's green outside. And he's like, he knows his market. And that's when you know specific houses all across your town, that's when you're really starting to master your market and know your area. Go ahead, Will. Sorry.
So I was just going to ask Alex, for me, I think of driving for dollars and this has to be one of the most economic ways to go out and find leads. If you talk about a pay-per-click advertising campaign, you're talking about potentially thousands of dollars. You're talking about what Alex mentioned in hiring a cold caller, down for multiple hours, that can really kind of stack up really, really quickly. And so break down, what's the process look like for you? You put in a tank of gas, you go drive, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's super economical, but effective. That's why it's a great way to start out, but that's also why guys like Alex and with people with big operations are still doing it because it's so effective. But really, if you're starting out, you get a tank of gas, you go get a bunch of addresses, and then you just have the cost of skip tracing them afterwards. You can literally get started with just those two costs. which is about 15 cents an address with a skip tracer. So for us over here, we've been using Deal Machine, and I can, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. I can show you a little bit what we've been doing.
Yeah, you guys, I was even impressed. I think it's been a month and he literally put in 500 hot leads on Deal Machine, you guys. Talk about someone hard work. And like Alex said, you know, he knew the market, just works hard and has definitely impressed all of us. And that's why now he's
And it motivates the team when other team members are taking massive action like that, does it not? We see him every day. It's like,
now.
oh, 86 properties added to Deal Machine. Oh, you know, whatever, you know, 45. And we're seeing these numbers as a team because we get email alerts on how many properties are being added. And we're like, oh man, this guy is putting in work. And just that accountability, that flow where the team is all motivated because we're all pushing each other all the time.
Makes me look like I'm slacking over here in LA compared to Alex
What's
at
up,
Bar.
Jay? You're slacking, girl.
Procrastinator. I see a procrastinator.
Okay, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah. So this is Deal Machine, and I. So this is my town. These green lines are the places that I've already driven. So it's really an awesome tool to help you stay organized. It's super powerful. Do you need this to start driving for dollars? No, but it does make a big difference. I did want to show you just a lead here. We'll go into my list.
And again, this is pretty cool, you guys. I want you to see that map that he showed, that literally shows you what streets you've already driven. And so you can already know, like, hey, Jay's already driven that street in that neighborhood. So I don't need to go down that, which is really beneficial. Yeah, it's awesome. There's no other way to stay as organized. I did want to show you just real quick to give a little more idea of driving for dollars. This is a property we just added. I was out with an intern, just kind of showing him how we drive for dollars. And we came across this property right here. We were in one neighborhood. It was kind of a little more run down. There was lots of ugly houses, but there were, in about 20 or so minutes, we found 10 just really run down houses. And so we added them. We jumped over to a different neighborhood. It was much nicer. But I wanted to give him the idea of the different types of neighborhood, how you look for distress situations. This is one that we came across. It was the only one in the entire neighborhood. The whole thing was just picture perfect, but we came across this one. It wouldn't have made the cut in that previous neighborhood, but when you're in one neighborhood, you got to take into account some you might have. Some might make the cut, some might not, depending on different qualifiers, depending on the neighborhood. So this one, you see here, the grass is a little bit torn up. It's missing a window here. Got some boxes up front, a little bit of rot here. The paint's old. So we came by, we took a picture of this house. Again, it was the only one in that neighborhood. And then when we uploaded to Deal Machine, we saw this tag right here, bank owned. That's just Deal Machine. They have their own data that sometimes if you add an address, they already have data for it and they'll upload it as a tag on your property. So this just kind of goes to show exterior circumstances. Now, this may not be incredibly expensive to fix up. That might not have been the homeowners, or the previous homeowners' real problem. But from exterior signs out here, there you could infer that there was some interior circumstance. There were some problems in the person's life that now it's a bank-owned home. So not necessarily what we want to ideal for mailing or calling, but I just wanted to illustrate that point. That's kind of what you're looking for when you're out driving for dollars. And Alex, we had a question come in on the chat. And either Alex, you guys can feel free to answer this, but James is asking, could you give any tips on finding hot areas when you're driving for dollars? So, Alex, when you're out there in Kihei, like, where do you decide to start?
Yeah, so for us, it's a little bit different because Maui is small. There's only so many houses, and we knew we wanted to hit Kihei really aggressively. So I just decided I'm going to drive every street in this town, find every single address, or every distressed property. In your town, it may be a little bit different. So there may be some neighborhoods that aren't good. Like if it's a brand new neighborhood, you got lots of new construction. That's not going to be your ideal spot. But ones where houses are old but they're being rehabbed. You know, you can kind of see that the property is on the up and up. But again, this neighborhood, sometimes it can be a little bit of a time investment. But we found this, you know, sometimes you can find properties like this in the neighborhood. And if you can get that one, that thing's going to sell like this. It's a very desirable neighborhood. But you got to realize it's going to be an investment of time with less leads that you'll find. But yeah, if you find an area where people are buying cash, like other investors are investing in, that's going to be a good place to go. And the nice thing about this is with Driving for Dollars, you have your very own custom list. You know, other guys are going and spending 5 minutes to buy a list online, but if you're willing to go and put the time into driving, you're going to have a list that nobody else has, which is huge, especially if you're in a competitive market.
Love that. And for Jay and I specifically, we kind of tend to, when we go out on listing appointments, if we know there's one house in the neighborhood that's in bad condition, you know, the odds are that there's going to be a couple other ones. And if you can get to that other one, once they find out that another home in the neighborhood sold, they're like, hey, that house looked like horrible. Like, how did they sell? Then they might get the idea like, oh, if they were able to sell, maybe I could sell my home in this really bad condition as well. So that's our kind of key giveaway in Los Angeles, just because of how big it is. You know, we try to kind of stay in the areas where we're finding other deals tend to be present. So again, I think that was a great kind of rundown on the deal machine side of things. Alex, you guys are starting mailers on these too now, right?
We are.
Yeah.
We just started mailers. Sorry, Alex.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we just started a mailing campaign. And Deal Machine makes it really slick. You can just, you know, it's got your mailer preview right here. So it's really easy to send mailers out with a click of a button. So yeah, we've got, again, this one we're probably not going to be mailing to because it's a little bit different, but we'll have mailers out to everybody within the month.
Love that. And Alex, how did you guys decide when to hit go on these mailers?
Well, first we decided to which areas we're going to target, and then it's been a progression because Alex has been in my ear and we've been meeting like almost on a weekly basis. And then we decided, hey, when we have enough leads that we can cold call and send direct mail to in the areas here in Maui that we are close by and targeting, and we're constantly expanding that list, but we had enough volume based on Alex's putting in that work to be able to now justify sending mailers every month, because it is going to be a commitment of 4 to 6 months to these leads, and that's like $2,000-$3,000. So I had to be comfortable investing that $2,000-$3,000, or at least making that commitment to like invest that $2,000 to $3,000 over this next 4 to 6 months for this particular campaign. But Alex proved to put in the work, and then we had a good plan, but it was real based off of multiple meetings, looking at the numbers, looking at the properties, and we went out and did Driving for Dollars a couple of times together, training at the beginning, so he wasn't just too liberal with just writing any address down either, because there is also houses where it's like, okay, this is not like a high distress situation. It just maybe a lot of people live here. And so you kind of also need to be judicious on, because you don't want to just put any address in there either. So yeah, we were ready based on all that work.
Love that. And, love what you're saying there too, Alex, about like not just putting in any house. So, I mean, Jay and I, when we drive, we constantly are checking ourselves and we're like, dude, is that person really going to move out of that house though? Like, are they really stressed in there, or are they just, really a hoarder and they're, really kind of just comfortable in their life? Like there isn't really any sign that they're looking to change that. So you want to make sure that you kind of, debunk the houses as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, especially if you're like, just to add a little bit to what Alex was saying, if you're going to what we call like a war zone, right? Like a real ghetto area. I mean, you could be writing down almost every single house, and it could be an active area for investors too. But in those circumstances, you need to use your judgment a little bit better, because you could literally just write every single house down because they're all distressed or in bad shape. So in those, maybe you're just writing down like the worst ones, or maybe the ones that look vacant because they're kind of clean, but they're vacant, and maybe something like absentee owner, and everything we're dealing with tenancy, with COVID and all that, there might be an issue there. So I think that's also something to note.
Yeah, and another note too, I've learned is that, if they don't have much equity, if someone just bought the property and it just looks horrible in 2019, they probably won't be planning on selling the house anytime soon for us. So that's something. But if they bought it in 1964, and they've owned it, long time owners. So those are really important factors if you're just beginning this to take into consideration as well.
Love that one, Jay. The equity is huge. If they just bought the house, it might look bad, but they just bought it, so they're probably not willing to sell it a couple months later. So, really, again, congratulations, Mr. Ibarra, Alex number 2 over there on just absolutely crushing it and getting that up to speed. I know, Alex, another big marketing method for us here with cash offer options in the past has been PPC, like paid per click ads, internet leads, internet advertising. Do you want to dive in a little bit about that kind of strategy and how we've employed that?
Yes, of course. So internet leads have tended to be my favorite because they're super motivated. They come in, you got to get after them right away. So it's exciting because you got that hot lead, you got to get after it. So what we've done is we developed a website, a seller lead generation website, and we've paid Google ads between $2,500 and $3,000 every month. We're not currently doing it. We're still working on our other website. But what I'll say is that you also need to make that commitment on those for like at least 2, maybe 3 months, because it takes time for the ads to start really hitting. It's unlikely for you to get a deal on doing Google ads like in the first month. So you need to give it some time for it to work. And then you also need to have a strong closer again on those type of leads. Those are some of the best leads. So you need to have the right people on those. And then our target is to call those leads back within 5 minutes because they're that hot that they might be submitting their information across different websites, and you want to call them back ASAP, or get back in touch with them. We also have this like auto email, so when people submit their information, like they get an automatic email right away, like, hey, we got your information. We are looking forward to talking with you. We're on the other line right now. We'll be in touch right away. So that way they also know that they get those multiple touch points. They know we're on top of it, and that you could do that. As far as also Facebook leads, I haven't had that much experience with that. I'm working on with somebody that wants to do it for us, but again, you're talking about $2,000-$3,000 a month minimum, and so I don't take that type of expense lightly. I want to make sure that it's a good fit for us as far as the person doing it for us, and within the company budget and within the marketing plan that we have. So I would definitely say that internet leads are not for everybody, but if you have a strong closing team or you're a strong closer and you're willing to commit, say $2,000-$3,000 a month for at least 2-3 months, I mean, I would definitely recommend you try that because they do work. But they're a couple $100 leads. They end up being pretty costly. So you got to make sure that you convert.
Jay, let's talk a little bit about some door hangers and some door knocking. Alex, is that still something that works right now during COVID?
Well, the door hangers, we bought several deals from the door hangers. Those are usually like a zip code, so we'll target a specific zip code in a specific area, and we'll just litter that area with not litter, but do the door hangers on them, and then people that are motivated will call usually on that. I mean, you'll get some angry people, but it is what it is. You get that with any type of marketing usually. So we do the door hangers, the door knocking. I've gotten deals that way, but right now, because of COVID and the way things kind of have changed a little bit, we've kind of taken our foot off the gas on that because I'm more of a fan of door knocking specific properties, like say, for example, we pull a list of like 10 foreclosures with equity in an area that we're gonna go look at a property that we're making an offer for maybe an MLS deal. And then I'll just go ahead and go look at that MLS deal, but then we'll door knock those other 10 properties right by that MLS deal. So it's a little bit more targeted. And also, this is a little tip. If you're door knocking a property like that, like a specific property for foreclosure, it's very helpful to talk to the neighbors and door knock the neighbors because a lot of times they know what's going on with the situation, and a lot of times they will give you the phone number of the person too because they kind of are watching the property for that person as well. So keep that in mind. That's a little bit of a tip that I've used to get deals. One time I remember I was door knocking a foreclosure lead, and I saw this lady walking outside across the street. So I crossed the street to talk to her. She happened to be a Spanish speaker. I started speaking with her in Spanish. And then I gave her my business card and I said, hey, if anybody comes to this house, call me. And the very next morning, she calls me, he's like, hey, the guy's here. He's in a white truck. So I jet over there. It was like 15, 20 minutes from my office. I meet the guy. He ends up being like the trustee or friends of the person that's inheriting the property. And then like 6 months later, we bought that property and my mentor made a bunch of money on that deal. And then another year later, that guy remembered me and then he gave me another deal that I made $50,000 on. So that one door knock on that one lead turned into a deal for my mentor that made him over $100,000, and then another deal down the road that made me $50,000. So
That is amazing.
And,
Yeah,
and Jay and I are doing the same thing, Alex, like targeting our door knocks, right? And Jay, we have our door hangers that we're planning on placing out as well, right?
Correct. And something, you know, I'm excited to get those. Even when you're driving for dollars, you can use the door hangers as well. You can pass that on to the door, or even if someone's living there. Alex suggested we were just talking and someone for driving for dollars, you can skip trace and call the person right there in front of the house, you know. So if you're right here, be like, hey, I at your property right now, I'm interested in it, you know, do it right there when it's hot and fresh and you're in front of the property, and, you know, make it happen.
Love that. So what about texting, Alex? Is that still working right now? And I know we had a question in here earlier from Amari wondering, you know, are you worried about the people on the do not call list? You know, how does that work right now? Like, is texting and do not call, is that really, you know, something to be worried about?
yeah, it's one of those strategies right now that we don't know how long the lifespan it has, because all the providers are spamming, you know, it's really changing a lot. But I did a lot of texting. I tried like 3 or 4 different vendors last year. We were texting 1,000 people a day. I don't knock it. I think it still works, but it does take a certain amount of bandwidth, because you got to be sending those messages and then responding to them, and then making sure you talk to the people on the phone if they're open to talking. So I think it's just one of those, like, try to make some money while you still can on that, but it might have a shelf life right now because of what's going on. And then also somebody that I know that's done very well with it, as a big wholesaler, is that they're sending 3,000 to 5,000 text messages a day, but you need to have a lot of data for that. And then again, you probably need to have 1 or 2 people sending and responding to those text messages every single day, like full time. So it's something you kind of do need to make a certain amount of commitment. You can't just be texting like 100 people a day and then hope that works. Like that's probably not going to work. I still have a couple of leads that are in the system from the texting we did last year, but I can't say I've ever got a deal from texting. But like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have the best team last year. I just put together anybody that was willing to kind of work with me at that time, because, you know, I was just starting out. But I think now if I was to do it, I would probably have better results. But it's consistency, sending a lot of messages daily, and then understanding that if you get sued, it's cost of doing business. You might have to settle out of court and give somebody like $1,000, $1,500, so, because there's lawsuits. There's a lot of people that are suing these investors just to get money out of them for sending text messages. So if you got to almost put that in your budget. You might have to pay somebody off to go away that's trying to sue you for texting them, and that might be $500, $1,000, $1,500. It's the cost of doing business. So keep that in mind.
And Alex, one thing I heard you say just about 50 times today was consistency. I think that might be the word of the day. We might have to choose that as our word for the quarter for next quarter. I know we were doing 1% better this quarter, but I think consistency, like, you know, if you guys didn't hear it from Alex enough today, consistency was the number one word I took from it. Is you have to be consistent with your actions, consistent with taking action. Otherwise, you're not going to get consistent results. So I think you said it as best as you could right there. We do have 1 or 2 other questions that are coming in right now in the Q&A field. First one is for Alex A or Alex I. We have A and B, Alex, A, B, and C here. A couple of different Alexes in the room. So Alex squared. Ulysses again was just wondering, when you're out there driving, we use custom tags for our driving for dollars, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Probably won't find snow tires or anything because we're not investing in snow areas, but Alex kind of went on and showed a couple things. It's the windows, the missing grass, rotted, fascia or roofing. Those are kind of consistent things that we're looking for. And if you guys want, let us know in the chat. And I think we should be able to make a copy of our tags, and we can share those in the Facebook group for you guys. The last question here coming in on the Q&A, Alex, probably a pretty good one coming in from Riley. He's just wondering how simple is this? Like getting your first deal in real estate without much capital, without much interest, without much experience. Look at Jay and I, right? We've been doing this for 3 months, and here we are taking down our second deal. And yeah, we have an incredible mentor, an incredible team leader in Alex, but that isn't to say that you couldn't do it as well. And the second part of his question there, Alex, is, he's possibly looking to get a wholesale deal and assign a contract to somebody just to get in the game. And, that's something that we're actively doing. We buy from wholesalers, and you're actively looking to help wholesalers, aren't you?
Yeah, so it's simple, but like they say, it's simple but not easy. So the common theme is that you go out there and take action to get these opportunities and have that strong commitment. But yeah, the first deal, you're not doing the deal to get rich. The first deal, you're doing it for experience, right? You're doing it to learn. You're doing it to be in the game. You're doing it to have proof that you can do it. Even me having had some success in real estate in the past with lending and mortgage and other, certain other areas, being an agent, Airbnb, it still took me some time to get my first deal. I had to prove it to myself and say, hey, you know what? I think I could do this, but let me go prove it. And it took me 3 months, cold calling 6-7 hours a day. But once I got that first deal, I'm like, yeah, I knew it. I knew I could do this. And you guys are probably in the same boat. You have this feeling, hey, I think I could do this. It seems pretty straightforward. I just got to find people that have problems, or I got to find properties that have problems, or a combination of both. And then I got to know how to run my numbers. I got to, it isn't rocket science. It's people that have problems, it's properties that have problems, and you're coming in there and helping improve that or helping to solve that. So it's that simple. But how much time are you willing to commit? Are you willing to commit, couple hours a week? I mean, how long do you think it's going to take you to get your first deal? Probably a year. You're probably going to quit before that. But if you're willing to commit, those 5-7 hours a day, over months of time, then you're probably going to find your first deal. When you find your first deal, then you know how to do deals, and then you're going to find another deal, and then you're going to start doing multiple deals, and then you're going to start building a team. But it's all a process. And if you don't make that commitment and you don't start, and it's funny because I'm also just so you guys know, I'm an accountability coach for the Future Flipper program, which is by Ryan Pineda. And I've seen this common theme with they're his students, but I'm also a coach in there. Is that they're all in their head. They're asking all these questions, all these random questions, and they have good intentions, but they haven't really taken that much action. The minute they start taking action, they have different questions. The minute they start taking action, they're just like they're sounding more confident. I'm like, is this the same person that I talked to last week? Like, you sound way more chipper, way more confident, way more in the game. Why? Because they went and took action, and then they're like, hey, you know what? It isn't as hard as I thought in my head. And I see that over and over again every week, because I have meetings with these guys every week, and I see how much action they've taken. And the ones that go and knock out, I was going to do this, I was going to do this, I was going to do that, and they knock all that out, they just sound better. They're more confident. They just have more stuff going on, and they're no longer asking these random what if questions that probably are not going to happen. They're asking more specific questions based off their action.
And guys, if you're in one of those positions, where you're also just kind of stuck on the hump and looking to take some action, Jay's going to post a link right now in the chat. And this is just going to be a link if you want to set up a one-on-one coaching call with Alex. It's not just Alex. You get actually access to the whole team. You get access to Jay, me, Alex, Alex Ibarra if you need help. You get access to the whole squad. And if you are in that position where you need a little bit of help getting over the hump, let us know, connect. I know there's a couple people here in the room already that have taken advantage of that and that are already seeing results and are already seeing, action coming from it. So please do, if you guys need any help, let us know. And I'm going to do what we always do now and invite some people here into the room to share the screen with us. And Alex, feel free to call out anybody you see.
Yeah.
What's up, you guys? I see Tyler. He's probably left Maui by now. Oh, we got the Queen in the building. We got Zasha. She's trying
Tyler,
to check
did
out,
you?
see what I'm. She's trying to check out, see what I'm working on right now, because we're kind of competitors. Love her, but you know we kind of are.
Didn't you see her at the house last week?
Yeah, dude. She's like, okay, what are you doing here? I'm like, I'm trying to be you, girl.
There's more than enough deals for everyone. Mind of abundance.
Abundance
True, true, true,
mindset.
true.
I love it.
There you go.
100%. Oh, we got Jordan showed up today. Thanks for showing up. Riley, actually, we met through Snapchat because my brother, my identical twin brother, is a very active Snapchat user. I'm not. Nathan's back in the building. What's up, Nathan?
Oh, hi.
Appreciate you guys
Susie's
for all the
back.
advice.
Oh,
Appreciate you.
got the team member George Carrera in the building.
Hello,
Working.
George. What's going on?
Hector, shout out to Hector. Hector's helping out so much with all the editing on the videos and all that, man. Thank you so much, Hector. Rory's back. Daniel's back. Mr. Doug Peters, what's up, buddy? Amari's back. Colin's back.
Rory.
Wow, this is awesome.
I'm
guys.
surprised Tyler made it back. I was watching his Instagram story. I thought that guy was going to be stuck on the airplane. I thought he might just be moving to Maui with everybody else. So I wasn't sure what to expect.
I was keeping my fingers crossed that plane wouldn't take off, but I'll be damned. They were determined then.
Oh,
Love
Hello,
that.
Daniel.
Guys,
He's like,
go ahead, Jay.
oh, I said hello, Daniel.
Yeah, good to see everybody on here. And again, appreciate you guys that are tuning in while you're driving, while you're in the office. I know Marcy sometimes is at work. I know George is driving right now. Ulysses, you're driving. And again, we appreciate you guys for tuning in and continuing to grow and become better investors. Make sure you guys do use the Facebook group. Please, I would love it if everybody in there posted on Alex's comment and just let us know what we can help you with. There are so many incredible investors in this room. Susie's in this room. Raul is in this room. Jordan's in this room. Debbie's in the room. Daniel Kong's in the room. Doug Peters is in the room. Lean on the vibe of the tribe and let other people help you get to your goals. It's not just Alex, Square, Jay, and myself, but this Facebook group here, really we can connect in here and make sure we all hit our goals and all of our dreams come true. All right.
cool. So anybody have anything else to talk about or mention or anything we can help you with? Otherwise, we're signing off. And next week we'll be doing it here from Maui with Will and Jay here.
That's
I
right.
had a quick question.
Yeah.
What are you using? So like I'm doing direct mailers and some various campaigns, and I'm using CallRail, and everything has a different number. What are you guys using as a system to, I guess, track those KPIs?
We also use CallRail. I'm a big fan of that little feature that you say whisper. So it'll say, cold calling campaign. It tells you what campaign's calling. I'm a big fan of that because it helps you be prepared where that's coming from. It also tracks it, but I like that feature. So we use CallRail as well to track the marketing.
Ari said
Okay.
our CRM.
What do you use as a dialer? I'm currently not doing any cold calling, but I might start again.
We use CallFire. It's an older system that we're just familiar with, but I mean, most people use Mojo.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate
Hey
it.
guys, I think next week or the following week, we're probably going to have Alex jump on some calls again. Maybe call some real estate agents, maybe call some direct sellers, just to kind of, again, give you guys an idea of how Alex goes about that conversation. It's the most unscripted thing you've ever seen. It's literally, he is just helping people on the phone. So I think we're going to do that sometime in a couple weeks.
I got a lot of feedback from that particular webinar. So I'm happy to jump on the phones, do a bunch more cold calling. I did a training with the team with Alex on cold calling. I mean, I've been cold calling for so many years that I forget how good I not only am, but just what all the things that I remember from calling for so many years. So I want to keep sharing that with you guys because it really is an art. And it's not that hard if you just do it consistently and you get a little bit better and you're calling the right list, because it's applicable even if you're not cold calling. When you're talking on the phone, those phone sales skills are so important, you guys.
Guys, as we mentioned, we do appreciate you guys tuning in here weekly with us. Hopefully you guys gain some insight and if anything I took from this, it's be consistent and take massive action. So hopefully we'll see you guys next week. And
I'm
you guys
at
are
I'm
ready
at
to go.
Instagram 9,993. So if you guys could post this, I would really appreciate it. We're right there, about to get
Let's
10K.
go. Let's get to 10K today.
Let's go. Get him to 10K and get us to Maui. We'll see you guys next week live from Maui. All right.
All right, guys. See ya.
I see Rory's about to make some cold calls right now. Get after it, brother. Let's go.
Let's go.
Have a
Yeah,
great
but hey, Will.
Yes.
Hey, so when is Alex gonna make like a shirt or something? I'd like to rock it or something.
The Alex squared shirt or something, right? We'll have to see about that.
Yeah, we'll have to work on something. I was thinking about that, having our own logo brand stuff.
I need
That'd be
a
awesome.
I need a hat because man, with this long hair that I have, mine's almost getting as long as yours, Ulysses. It's going out in the back. So I'm always wearing hats until I get this haircut. So we'll see what we can do. All right.
All right, cool, man. Thanks. See you next week.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Take care. Stay safe. Go get it.